Here's Johnny, not Jimmy Kimmel, who's who is anti-Trump and a Biden supporter. Unfortunately, yes, here's Johnny. Thank you, Ed. Well, how are you all doing, everybody? As is the present, give them on time. How's everything going with you all? Are you okay? Are you all right? Regardless of whether or not you can feel blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed? Hmm? Wasn't that a beautiful thing that it happened? Beautiful thing. Well, excuse me for butchering the English language. That is part of forgiveness for doing so. For our own adopted native tongue as we have it, of the American dialect, with all of this grammatical usages being some such qualities and quantities. Sorry about that. That would be and being as it is of a rather expensive or extensive, versatile, and impressive vocabulary. Not that I mean be making with the crazy eyes so much. Be misbehaving like some kind of clown, for that matter. Well, just as long as I don't violate anybody's civil or human rights compared to, you know, those others, unlike us law-abiding American citizens and foreigners that would attempt to do so to another individual person, with or without any accomplices in crime. Then it's all good, right? Well, then what do y'all think about, as I backtrack here with me, purpose of being, or so I can go on to following, to continue for when my person had last left off, so I can finish up as a complete form previous Friday line thought. I mean, what do you think about Billie Eilish asking this young preteen girl, a female of the same sex as she herself, is she all right? When at one time she broke the line of spectators at a music concert that particular pop culture singer and dancer was going about, performing for her audience. The little girl broke through the crowd of spectators, and the security guard stepped in. And then after Billie Eilish had asked the little girl question of whether or not she was all right, and then she fired that one particular security guard. Whoa! Why do you think she did? Why would she do something like? I mean, he was just looking out for welfare. You would think that for general welfare, not that she's on public aid. You would think that she would have kept them on. So that's a bad precedent. Any security guard who was fired by one's employer, and like say if one were to be given the opportunity or the chance to simply say to be rehired by that same employer that fired one, then I would think that person would have second and or serious thought about accepting the offer. And for that matter, any you know possible and potential prospects of future security guards may give Billie Eilish, the frown or the raised eyebrow, in due regard in reference to if she were to put forth to one as to whether or not one wants to become a part of her security guard detail. Like, no, I don't think so. Thanks, but no thanks. Yes. I mean, I'm trying to think to make a career out of this particular profession, and I don't want to be, you know, that is short circuit even before I were to really get the feel of this particular occupation. Short circuit, you know what I mean? But then I'm glad to know that our fool for all races of peoples had made it out okay when somebody had attempted to assassinate him. You know, the former ex-president, president of USA, who is now once again the re-elected president of our God-blessed United States of America, being President Donald J. Trump. And shame on you, Elon Musk. Not that I consider you a traitor altogether, you know, but maybe this special package delivery is not such a bad thing after all, with a few exceptions. I hope to God that President Donald J. Trump is not seriously thinking about and has gone about cutting a percentage of the medical insurance, Medicaid and Medicare, and because that would be quite foolish to me in my own personal views and opinions about that there. Not that I meant to speak on so much of a serious note of interest. After all, this is supposed to be one on a much lighter one. Regardless of whether or not I could have relapsed and gone back to the bottle or worship at the pipe. No, I'm just joking. I'm just putting forth a hypothetical theory that is speaking, as a matter of fact, speak, for the sake of argument. No, I have not gone back to becoming a like say chronic habitual drinker of intoxicating alcoholic beverages, and neither nor have I gone back to becoming a repeated offender, not as in criminal, or to rephrase that, use better choice of words. That is uh, 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 uh what's the word? What is it? Or repetitious abuser of a person who is misusing, my drug of choice being, the wacko weed or Snoop Doggy Hogs, reefer or Mary Jane marijuana, or over the counter drugs or prescription medicine for that matter. God forbid. I mean, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions? And no offense or disrespect was meant to be directed at any persons being of the much more familiar mentally challenged. I was just saying, stating for record, making a point, right? Or as a matter of figure of speech and for the sake of argument. But then, everybody okay? Nobody think about doing a Robin Williams on oneself? Robin Williams? Are we on the same page? Anybody out there? Can you hear what I'm saying? You're still down here upon the planet Earth, are you not? We're still within the same wavelength frequency. Yes, we are not, or that is hopefully, unless you have gone to another planet. Hopefully not to that one, the bottle worship at the pipe. Say no to drinks and drugs, and take your prescription medicines, correctly and appropriately. So, what's going on, everybody? Hmm? What's going on? Sorry about my mohawk, or like it looks like somebody scalped me. Be one of my Indian peeps and folks or not. I kind of cut too short my hair at one given time. Uh, trying to think to try out a new and different hairstyle when I was younger. And well, it should never grew back up here. I have yet to get some kind of hair growth gel to, replace or compensate for this loss up here. Yeah, got me looking like a monk. Talk about the Cops and Robbers TV show. Then I was watching the one called Blue Bloods, another one of my favorite television show programs or broadcast, but I had to put it on pause so that I could produce this here particular social media video of content for you all, being on the present broadcast. So you all are feeling okay? All right. Invite your family members and friends to watch my live at times, regardless of what the world is becoming. When people lock their doors and hide inside, and then you know that it's the end of paradise. Hoping not anytime too soon. Because I know nobody who still possesses half their marbles are looking for the end of the world. Well, maybe they're looking, that depend on whether or not some, compared to others, are members of the household of faith, the family God, could possibly be looking for the second coming of Christ, that is. But nobody, I don't think nobody, believers and unbelievers and non-believers alike, will be looking for the end of the world anytime too soon. Anybody out there? Over here, lifeguard. Like you're sinking, like or manage to get from the damaged luxury liner ship of the Titanic or Lusitania, and you're floating on some kind of raft. Be you have a life preserver or not, or a lifeboat that could possibly come available or not. After a while. Jimmy Kimmel ain't got nothing on me. Remember when he put on some lipstick for a particular talk show episode of his? What was that all about? Or maybe he was contemplating becoming a Caucasian male member of the LGBT community, if he himself is not one already, or a closet Peter Pan fairy, Peter Pan peanut butter fairy. Suspect that my neighbor is the main one of a local drug pusher, who's always threatened my life. Unfortunately, I didn't get a police report each and every time he done that. Sometimes I would get some of such, depending on whether or not I remember to do so, and sometimes I wouldn't. And depending on whether or not the police would remind me to do just that. Sometimes I forget to get it, and sometimes they don't remind me. Compared to other times I remember, and other times they do remind me. That's so much for that conversation of dialogue. Regardless of whether or not I myself am a cousin of Poppy. Remember Poppy? The white girl with all those weird, peculiar, strange videos before she decided to hang up that gig and go for another hustle. Whereas now she's supposed to be some kind of a rock star, of the music world. Hey, my name is. Remember? Oh, it's been a long day, y'all. Oh, heavens to Mother Troy. Not that I'm gay. And the gays, they don't hold exclusive right to that combination, phrase, word, sentence. Heavens to Mother Troy. Anyway, though, I'm just trying to wind down for the night before I call it a night, try to get my Z's regardless of any of my present proverbial neighbors from damn hell being of some such, of not just the worst, but of the worstest ones yet. So how you all's day going, or how has it been, depending on what locality of the territory for the planet that you all are located at? Or should I say, how is your night now, depending on what hemisphere or time zone? Tweedledum and Tweedledee. I guess I had nothing much to do at the moment. I was feeling kind of bored and just decided to try to produce, just a video for you all. You know, that is something such a given moment in time. Yeah. Everything cool, everybody. There's always something going on. So what do y'all think about that mass shooter? No, my bad, correction. That guy fella that had went off with a couple of few Molotov cocktails. He really had something like from from a half a dozen to a dozen or a dozen and a half of those things. I only used a couple few. Boy was caught and apprehended by the boys in blue. And he had threw some of such on my white Jewish brethren who are cousins of the black Hebrew Israelites. I think that he himself should be recommended for the death penalty, than just life in prison. So much for that conversation about all. Again, on his last note, I would like to say, and that is, regardless of whether or not I myself still have the possible potential to become a future paralegal, attorney at law, judge, doctor, and etc., that if you have not gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I hope that you would think to do so now. While the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing and realizing what he himself had done upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha at some such a given moment in time, permitting himself to be sacrificed at the hands of Roman soldiers, up under orders of their superiors of religious pastors and Sadducees, so that you don't have to go to hell, but so that you could be permitted to experience the blessings of heaven. Y'all take care. We out. Peace.